Sam, I see you. Assalamu alaikum. What's going on, my brother, my nephew? We should be starting in 1 minute. If you are with us, please share this, tap the screen, just so the algorithm would broadcast this a bit further. Thank you very much for being a part of this show. Thank you very much for engaging. Don't forget to go to the website www.beckah.org. Beckah.org. Mahmoud, I see you. Assalamu alaikum. We're starting, inshallah, in 1 minute. We're live on 1440 AM, 1440 WMKM Detroit. So if you are in your car, you can listen to us right directly from your radio in your car. The Revert Radio Show, broadcasting studios from 1440 AM WMKM Detroit. We host Abdullah. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us today, Friday, beautiful day. It's the last Friday of August. And our topic for today is deep. It's a segue, technically, from what we have been talking about for the past few days, but yesterday was a touchy subject. Yesterday, we noticed that there was a massacre that happened in the city of Minneapolis, and the massacre was very alarming. The massacre involved many issues and many problems. One of the problems we mentioned that was in yesterday's massacre was that there's no connection between God and the person that committed the crime. This person didn't have God in their heart, didn't have any kind of connection. The other thing is that this person also had no purpose in their life, no positive purpose. Let's rephrase that. Why? Because he had a purpose, according to the videos that he had put out and let people see after he committed the crime, but the purpose was a very bad purpose, was a very negative purpose. And then another thing that we mentioned was that this person used violence with weapons of heavy type of weapons that would be used only in places like a war zone or something. So today's topic is basically about the weapons that this person purchased, how he got to purchase them, and how he was able to get away with a crime this heavy, and how we weren't able to prevent a problem this major. Once again, welcome to the show. This is the Revert Show. We are on social media, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, what have you. We also are on the website. Beckah.org is our main website. You go into the programs and you can find the Revert Show. in the programs, and you can contribute and help out, support, whether it is by financially supporting or by volunteering. And you can even come to the show if you have the talent to host a show. You can be a co-host. You can have your own hour as well, inshallah. We are opening the platform for people to come in, show their talent, come through. Let's make this happen. Also, we are live every day throughout the weekdays, Monday through Friday, from 4 p.m. until 5 p.m. Detroit time. And 1440 is a Detroit station that could be found on your Detroit radio. So if you live in the city of Detroit or the metropolitan area, you will be reached by this station. Between 4 and 5, you can find us and you can engage with us. Today's topic is heavy. Today's topic is a problem, is definitely a problem for a lot of us cities here in America. It's obviously a problem overseas, and the wrong people are using those weapons against the wrong people, which is very saddening and very heartbreaking and very horrifying. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep us all safe. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us mercy in our lives and in our daily routines. So, guns. And we know that we have the right to carry guns. We have the right to have guns. We have the right to have weapons. But now there's a problem. These guns are being used in the bad ways. Malik, I see you. Assalamu alaikum. These guns are being used in a real bad way. They're not being used for defense anymore. They're being used for attack. Now, we have to realize that us as people, when we are all sane and when we are all in our right mind, having guns, having weapons is okay because it's the right. We're allowed to have guns. We're allowed to have weapons and all that stuff to defend ourselves. But being able to have guns when you are not all there, let's say you have used substances that may intoxicate you and get you out of your normal mindset. Or maybe you have some anger management and you are a person that would carry out actions against someone, retaliation or violence or whatever, and you have a gun or a knife or some kind of weapon that would hurt or harm somebody. Or there's just some kind of incentive and a motive that would move you to carry that weapon and use it against someone. Now that's when we have to step back. We have to look back at our policies and figure out, is this policy okay to have? Is it okay to have this policy? Is it okay to just keep it wide open and allow for everybody to have whatever they want, whenever they want? Or should we look back and see how we can regulate things and make sure that if we are going to have this policy, then we have to have it in a way where it will be safe for our families, for our kids, for everyone. Correct? Because we have kids, we have families, we have loved ones. We have people that we don't want to get harmed by these weapons. So the first thing that we want to see and look at is the human cost of gun violence. We just recently saw some human cost of gun violence, and there's some kids, unfortunately, that are still in hospitals today suffering from the gun violence. So we look at that impact. For example, and this is based on statistics that are researchable, that you can go and look at and look for. Every single day in our country, nearly 130 people are killed by gun violence. Listen to these numbers, my dear brothers. Numbers don't lie. And numbers are a way for us to reflect back. It's a feedback. 130 people are killed approximately every day in our country due to gun violence. Why? Because, first of all, the guns are there. Now, imagine you have to go toe to toe with somebody, fist to fist, every time you got mad with somebody. You will think twice, 3 times, 4 times, 1,000 times if you are going to be facing somebody that's stronger than you, that's bigger than you, that's more built than you, and he's going to back off, and you're not going to do it. When you have a gun, and you could be the weakest person, but you know how to shoot and use that gun, you don't care who that person is in front of you, and you're going to go shoot. Now, it doesn't mean that every time you shoot, you're going to hit. But you have that encouragement, if you have that mentality that says, no consequences. I don't care. Take me to jail. I may die. I'll do whatever I want, but I'm going to take that person out. That would allow you, the person with a weapon, to create this disaster to someone, to someone's family, and so on. If you agree with me or you disagree with me, please give me a holler. You can call at 313-871-6094, 313-871-6095. And if you are on social media, you can share your thoughts with me. Do you think that we, as Americans in the United States of America, should continue having guns in the streets, legally or non-legally, legally or illegally, and be allowed to have guns here and there? If you agree, please tell me your thoughts and why. And if you disagree, please tell me your thoughts and tell me why. So, tragedies occur, but we always have to look at the reason for the tragedy and why it happened. What what caused this tragedy from happening? Or what caused this tragedy to happen? And what would have prevented this tragedy from happening? Now, let's speak about the recent massacre that just happened and see what would have prevented that tragedy from happening. One thing I could tell you 100% for sure, if those guns weren't available, that tragedy would have never happened. Because this coward that took out his own life would have never gone to that school and faced these people face to face, even though they were kids. He would have been very scared. Because the actions of a coward will always be hidden behind something. There's got to be a shield between that coward and the others who he or she is facing, whether it's a screen, whether it's a shield, like a literal shield in a war zone, or a weapon or something like that would act on his behalf or her behalf to make this violence or violent action happen. So I tell you one thing that's for sure, that if those guns weren't available for this person, this action would have never happened ever in the life of this person. Why? Because there's nothing that would allow him to go out and commit these murders. Now, obviously, if we look at the state of mind, if we look at the psychological issue of this person, if we look at the way that this person was raised and brought up, if we look at the connection between him and his God, if we look at all these things, we may have different answers, of course. But the number one thing that I can guarantee that would have stopped and prevented this murder and massacre from happening yesterday would have been the lack of guns. Because if he didn't have those guns, a coward like that would have never acted upon that violent crime. I see a question, and this person, I guess, is from, I don't know where. What do you think of Taliban? Now, this is out of my topic, but I don't think that anybody that uses violence as an answer for anything is someone that should be looked up to or praised. Anyone that chooses violence over knowledge and over the call of God would ever or should ever be looked at positively anywhere in the world. Doesn't matter where. Anyone that looks at violence as the answer to anything is a person that should be looked at in a way where we need to send guidance to these people. We need to call them. We need to ask Allah to guide them, ask God the Almighty to guide them. So, like we said yesterday, the community got shook. The community got impacted by one person acting upon violent thoughts and hurting people and hurting people's lives forever. And why is that? All of that happened because of having guns. Now, at some points, having a weapon to defend yourself in some points is possibly important. But to allow guns to be available in the streets and in the cities everywhere, we have a problem. Because like I said, people argue, people disagree all the time. And if we have these weapons available all the time, then what's going to happen? Every time people disagree and argue, every time us people disagree and argue, we may carry out a violent act, whether we fist fighting or just arguing by violently speaking against each other. If we don't have weapons, then we're going to keep it at that. But if we have weapons, then we're going to act upon it and go to the next, wal-iyadhu billah, stage of violence, that someone can take someone's life. Who has the right? Who has the right to take anyone's life? No one. Except under specific authority that is in the books, that is in governments, that is everywhere. We're not going to get into that because that's a different topic by itself, and we will get into that one day, inshallah. But in leadership, there are some rules, there are some consequences, there are some sentences that carry out death sentences, and that's up to the authorities to carry out. And depends on the land that you live in, you follow and you respect the land that you live in. But my dear brothers, my dear sisters, gun violence is a very direct link to leadership. And I say that one more time. Gun violence is a very direct link and a critical link to leadership. How so? When a problem this large is not being controlled correctly, it requires righteous leaders. It requires righteous leadership in place with the courage to act righteously, according to the present problem. How can we solve these problems? And not be encouraged by financial backers, not be encouraged by those who will donate more, those who will stand with you more, those who will make something happen for you more. That's why righteousness in leadership is one of the greatest attributes of a righteous land or a righteous country. A righteous nation is only as righteous as their leaders. There's got to be courage to act. There's got to be wisdom to implement real solutions. And there's got to be integrity that is being put ahead before politics. Today, my dear brothers, our faith gives us clear guide. God has sent us a book. And every nation, God has sent a book. And meaning every nation throughout the history, throughout the time, God sent Prophet Adam, peace be upon him, and sent a revelation with him for his people. Noah, peace be upon him, and sent a revelation with him for his people. Idris, Ishaq, Yaqub, Yusuf, Musa alayhi salam, Ibrahim alayhi salam, Isa alayhi salam, Mahmoud, salam alaikum, I see you. All these prophets were sent by God, was sent by Allah, the Almighty, the Creator, with revelation. And we all had access to this revelation. And if you don't have access to this revelation, look at the latest prophet that was sent to you, in our case today, Muhammad, peace be upon him, and look at the revelation that came to him. That revelation is the guideline for that life that you are living currently. And today's day, today's life, the revelation, the latest revelation that was sent from God is the Quran. And before that, the Bible, before that, the Torah. And look at what God says in these books, in these revelations. And look at what God has encouraged us to do or to stay away from. And like we mentioned before in the previous shows, the life of a human being is so sacred. The life of a human being is so sacred that God does not allow for anyone to take anyone's life unless there are such scenarios that happen. And those scenarios are allowed to be carried out by the rulers, the leadership. That's why leadership is, in this topic, very important for us to discuss. And I may get some heat from people when I talk about this, especially in some communities where some people say, oh, we vote or we don't vote, who cares? Some people just say that. And some people technically say, okay, I may vote, but it's not going to make any difference. It's not going to make any difference. And some people, my dear brothers, feel like if I can't make the difference myself, then I'm not going to do anything. So if we look back at leadership and we look back at gun violence and we look back at religious guidelines, we see that choosing the right leader is very important and it's very required. That's why it is meant for the righteous people and the most knowledgeable people in the community and the society to pick the right person to lead. And based on knowledge, based on wisdom, based on experience. But in our day-to-day, in this land that we live in, there is something called democracy, and where people vote and people choose the person that they want, even though there's more details to this. But in situations like this, God encourages us to learn what is what is happening in our day to day on the streets of our nation that we are living in. What is happening? What's going on? There are leaders that are coming up and trying to promote their campaigns, and they want to be leaders for a specific incentive, which is very scary, because when it comes to money and it comes to the reality of becoming a leader, sometimes you could be fooled into thinking that this leader is really here to help. But you come to find out who's backing this leader up, and you find out their incentive of becoming a leader. Now, I'm not calling nobody out. I'm not calling no names. I'm not saying parties and this and that. I'm saying that when it comes to leadership, leaders got to take a look at what's happening today on the streets of America or wherever this leader is running, and they got to act with a heart that is full of mercy and a mind that is full of wisdom, and look at the policies and see what is happening. When it comes to the gun violence and the policies towards and against guns, look at the rates. That's alarming. 130 people getting killed every day by guns. Why? Because we allow it to happen. Because we allow guns to be available and present. What is the attributes of a good leader and foundational qualities of a good leader that would allow for us to see that this leader is a person that deserves to lead? And since we are in a land that requires the people to speak towards the leader to pick the right leader, then we need to speak out. Whether you vote, or whether you just tell people about them, or whether you talk against them, or whatever it is that you have, make sure that first, remember that this is an amana. Remember that this is trustworthiness. This is for the leader, and this is for the supporter of the leader. Because looking at it as if this is just a vote, and I don't care, I'll just vote for anybody. No, forget about it. It's not how it goes. This is an amana. This is a trustworthiness. People are trusting you with this. Your vote may be the tiebreaker between two people. One of them that's influenced 100% by companies that are manufacturing guns or manufacturing different weapons and manufacturing drugs or whatever, and someone whose main incentive and main influence is really the people and justice. And on the day of judgment, these people that are going to hold these spots of leadership will be asked. That's why it's not easy to be a leader. It's not easy to hold these spots. It's not. Inshallah, we're going to have some leaders who are running for office here with us. We're going to be interviewing them, making sure that we hear what they are talking about, what they have, and we see what their plan is. So trustworthiness, which is amana, a leader who can be trusted to protect the lives of the innocent, This is a non-negotiable trait. It means leaders' promise on public safety must be backed by a clear and very verifiable track record and verifiable plan, not just empty rhetoric, and not influenced by the millions of dollars that's being pushed and used to push their campaigns. I heard a reporter that really touched me. I swear. She was like, we spent all these millions of dollars to back people who are running for leadership spots. Millions, billions actually, some cases. We donate. This is a donation. This is a tax exempt donation that people are actually calling Americans every day. Would you want to donate to support my campaign? Would you want to donate to support my campaign? And we're not able to create some kind of program that would prevent cases like the case of the Minneapolis massacre that just happened. We are able to create programs and different filtration on social media, maybe AI, that could keep crawling around and checking for different signs of some craziness, some violence, and detect whether someone is having a cuckoo moment or someone is having a moment of giving up, or someone who's having suicidal thoughts, or someone within the speech. There are some programs that can identify that and detect that. And all we need is some good amount of money that would allow us to create this kind of program. She's like, we're spending all that money on campaigns of people who are running for office, but we're not able to spend that money to create programs that will prevent problems like this from happening. This goes back to the leadership. This definitely goes back to the leadership. That's why we are entrusted by who to pick as a leader. So amana, or trustworthiness, is one of the most important attributes and qualities that should be in a leader. Justice. Justice is another one. And if you are just joining the show, first of all, I want to thank you for joining the show. And I'll let you know that we are here Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. until 5 p.m. Detroit time. And if you are here in Detroit, then you can listen to us on the radio right away, in your car, wherever you want, on 1440 AM, WNKM, Detroit. And if you want to join the conversation, you can call 313-871-6094, 313-871-6095, or join us live on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, or come to our website, Beckah.org, BECKAH.org, and you can send us your feedback, message, whatever you'd like. Ahlan wa sahlan. We welcome all that. And I want to let you know that this show is brought to you by Beckah, Beckah.org. Beckah Foundation, the foundation that's been founded by us and for us to help communities become better. We're trying to help homeless people, trying to help lost people, trying to help drug addicts. We also help people in jails, those who are in prison. We go meet them and greet them and talk to them and guide them and bring light and bring them things that they need. This is what Beckah Foundation does. So if you or someone you know is interested in helping, we are looking for volunteers. And if you want to help financially, we welcome that. And if you want to help in any way possible, you could go onto the website, Beckah.org, and you go to the donations or non-cash donations. That's how we call it, non-cash donations. So back to the topic. We're discussing the issue that happened yesterday, but we're tackling one of the most important issues within that problem, which is the gun violence, or having guns, or having access to guns with no consequences. With no consequences. There's got to be some kind of crazy background check on every person, some kind of psychological check on every person who will buy a gun, there's got to be some kind of filtration. Who is allowed to have a gun and when and why and how and all that stuff. That's my thought. What do you think? Do you think we should change policies towards or against guns? Do you think that we should make it harder to own a gun or make it easier to own a gun? Is it okay for everybody to have guns? What happens if a gun hurts somebody and kills somebody like yesterday? What happens to the gun dealer? Are they going to be held accountable? Or should we not hold them accountable because the person that purchased the gun is an adult? And that's what they claim. A person is an adult. He made his own decision to buy that gun. So we can't force him to buy or not to buy. What are your thoughts? If you have any thoughts about these issues, please share with me on the platforms that we are on right now, wherever you are watching or listening. Then we segued into leadership, because gun policies obviously has a lot to do with leadership, my dear brothers and sisters and listeners. Because these leaders will allow for these policies to continue on going without any change, or we should have more regulations on them. Just like we had back in the day, not too long ago. Gambling was not allowed here in Detroit, in Michigan. And then all of a sudden, day after day, month after month, year after year, boom, started having casinos and gambling apps and all that stuff. Became allowed. It became legal. Marijuana was illegal all over the states. And then all of a sudden, different states started opening the platform for marijuana, recreational marijuana, and medicine and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden, we got marijuana spots everywhere, legally. Marijuana spots everywhere. Guns are available everywhere for anybody to buy. This coward that did the massacre yesterday in Minneapolis was able to buy big guns, and was able to murder people, young innocent children, using these guns, and was able to hurt people. Right now, families are hurt, families are wounded, families are scarred for life. Hopefully this makes them stronger and gets them closer to God and gets them to research more and look at things closer and focus. But why did this violence and this violent crime happen? Other than, number one, having access to guns. My dear brothers, having access to a weapon this large, this big, that can put a hole in a big wall, gives that courage to someone that is coward and weak to do whatever they want, especially those who don't feel like consequences make any difference in their lives. My dear brothers, the problem that we're having is not just gun dealers that are legal or, illegal. No, we're talking about legal gun dealers who who have allowed people to come and buy guns. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah, Brother Ra'id, I see you. Thank you for joining. And brother, I can't see the name. I think it's all white on white. Brother, Afghan Queen, thank you very much for being with us and showing some love. Thank you so much. And everybody else that's watching and listening, I appreciate you so much. This topic is very important. I really appreciate all of your engagement. If you have something to say, please don't hesitate to say it. Tell me your thoughts. Do you think that we need to continue allowing guns to be purchased in the streets of USA or anywhere, wherever you are living? Or do you think that these policies have been carried out to a very long time and have caused a lot of problems? And maybe we need to change. Maybe we need to change something. So we addressed leadership and we talked about leadership for a little bit. And we said that one of the most important foundational qualities of a leader should be amana, trustworthiness. Why? Because this person, he is being trusted or she is being trusted with those policies that they are making and changing and encouraging and regulating. And if they are not being trustworthy within these regulations, then we have a problem. The second one we said is justice. A leader who is fair to all and ensures justice is applied equally. That's very important. Justice is very important. You are not influenced by the millions of dollars that's being donated to back your campaign. You are influenced by the justice. You are influenced by being trustworthy and having that amana between you and God, because one day you will be asked on the day of judgment, have you done justice in your position? Have you done justice? Have you been just with your people that entrusted you with their community and their streets? In the context of gun violence, this means crafting the right, wise policies that address the root cause in all communities. We hear about Chicago always complaining and talking about gun violence, and they finally stopped having guns and stopped allowing people from buying guns or something like that. I didn't pay too close attention to that, but there are some issues with our policies when it comes to guns, because communities are being affected. People with guns, they feel so powerful that they feel like they can face anybody and they are willing to attack. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Abdul Malik. So that's why we need to be very careful when we look at leaders and we look at leadership. Leadership, my dear brothers, when we are living in a land that allows you to have a voice, and when it comes to leadership, then you need to use that voice. And I know, like I said, I might get some heat back from some people, but hey, listen, if you don't believe in speaking out and choosing your leaders, then you might be in the wrong place. You might be in the wrong place. Because once something happened to you, close to you, you can't be complaining if you didn't speak out. Whether you speak out by voting or you speak out by teaching or knowledge or whatever, that's the key. You have to speak out. You cannot be quiet and then just wait for calamity to happen and then be like, oh man, we should have done this or we should have done that. Wisdom is very important, and competence. A righteous leader knows their limits and consults with the experts. People who are taking leadership, they need to have wisdom. They need to have access to experts that would allow them to take or to make the right decisions. They should seek input from law enforcement, mental health professionals, and community leaders all over. And I believe specifically community religious leaders, because they're closest to God. You have to consult with people of God when it comes to leadership. Why? Because God enlightens those leaders with wisdom, especially those who are following the correct path of revelation. Because God is the creator of everyone and everything. And God knows the best for everyone and every community. And that's why when it comes to the perfection of a lifestyle, the closer you are to God and God's revelation, the closer you are to a perfect lifestyle and life in general. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah, Brother Isa. So a leader with wisdom and competence is very important. And these people, leaders, should always be seeking consultation from professionals and experts. Ahlan wa sahlan, hayakallah khair Isa. They seek input from law enforcement, mental health professionals, and community leaders. They're not afraid. They're not afraid to admit they don't have all the answers, and they're not afraid to take action as well. And they are willing to learn from past mistakes to create effective changes. So this is how we tie gun violence with leadership and voting and speaking out and having a voice and even running to be someone at the office, someone who can make a change in your community. Another attribute is humility and accessibility. A leader who is willing to listen to the concerns of a single parent in a high crime neighborhood or grieving family member, they don't just speak from a podium, they get on the ground to understand the real life consequences of violence. These are attributes of leaders, my dear brothers. These are attributes of leaders that we need to look at every time there's new leaders coming in to take office. We need to understand, why are we choosing this leader? Do they have these attributes that we mentioned? And many more. Obviously, we can't mention all the attributes that are perfect in a leader, but we need to take action. Gun violence, my dear brothers, is affecting Detroit City, is affecting Chicago, New York, Philadelphia, LA, and Minneapolis, and many other cities in our nation. Why are we still looking at these neighborhoods and these policies and saying that it's okay, this is a policy, we can let it be? Should we change some of these policies? Should we have or apply different regulations? Is it wise to keep looking at people getting killed and murdered left and right and say nothing and do nothing? Is it wise for us to see someone running for president or mayor or governor or counselor or whatever and say nothing and do nothing? Is it wise for us to stay quiet and do nothing No, my dear brothers, it is not. Like I said before, God created us for a purpose. Allah created us for a purpose. The Almighty, the Creator, created us for a purpose. We need to serve that purpose, whether it's from your home or from your school or from your mosque or church or wherever you are. You need to serve that purpose. That purpose is to do what pleases Allah, what pleases your Creator, what pleases God. And that is worship, my dear brothers. You worship God by doing the things that pleases God. And having a better society, having a safer society and a safer community definitely pleases God. And this could be a way of you worshiping God by providing a safer community for your kids, for your neighbors' kids, for your schools, wherever you are living, whether here in the United States of America, Canada, or anywhere in the world. Looking at everyone that's running for any office and understanding what they're about, and either encouraging people, if you're not going to vote, at least encourage people or tell people to stay away based on a research that you have done. Don't oppress that person and say lies about them just because you don't like them or because you think or you heard about them. Do your own research and be positive about what you're about to say about these people, whether it's good or bad. And last few words for those who own guns. Those who own guns legally or illegally. Fear God. Fear your Lord. Know that one day you will meet your Lord. I see you, Yahya. Assalamu alaikum. Know that one day you will meet your Lord. And know one day you will be asked about what you have done with anything that you have purchased. How you purchased it and why you purchased it. And what you have done with it. What did you use it for? Know for a fact that after you die, there are consequences for every action that you take. Whether you have been found guilty by the court or not, on the day of judgment, the judge of all judges, God will judge you. And God will ask you about these actions that you have carried out. Know for a fact that there are consequences for every action that you take in this world. And it's not about just being caught in this world while living in this country or wherever country you live in. Know that once you pass away, God will reveal to you everything that you have done and will ask you about every tiny little thing you have done, whether you've done it in public or privately. Be very careful. If you own guns and you think that you could get away with acts of violence, know for sure that no one will get away with nothing. You come on the day of judgment and God will reveal to you everything that you have done. Every second, every move that you have made. And if you have done anything wrong, I, myself, tell you what the revelation of God says. Repent. Repent to your Lord and come back to your Lord and ask for forgiveness. Because He is expecting you to ask for forgiveness and He's willing to forgive you. But obviously, every action will have a consequence. But it's better to repent and meet Allah or meet God, your Creator, asking for forgiveness rather than meeting Him without asking for forgiveness and without seeking repentance. Know that for a fact. Whether it's a weapon that you own or a car that you have. You heard about the murder case or the violence act that happened in Dearborn, where someone used his car as a weapon and ran over somebody. So guns is not just the only weapons that we are afraid of, but guns are obvious weapons. Someone in Dearborn used a car as a weapon and tried to take out somebody. You have to realize that there are consequences for everything. And not every time you get angry, you should carry out an action. You have to be very careful. Because on one day you will be asked about every action that you have made. And if you don't pay attention to these consequences, then my dear brothers, my dear sisters, you will be sorry on a day where being sorry is not going to be worth it. My dear brothers, we only have 5 more minutes in our show right here on 1440 AM WMKM. Just wanted to let you all know that we are here Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. until 5 p.m. The Revert Show is here, brought to you by Beckah Foundation. The Beckah Foundation can be found by visiting Beckah.org, BECKAH.org. And when you go there, you can check out all the programs that we have, all the projects that we're looking to have, inshallah, real soon. You are able to help out, whether it's financially by donating to Beckah Foundation, or by volunteering, or by donating non-cash items, such as clothes, books, cars, what have you. Whatever it is that you think is worthy of being donated, you may donate it. We are looking for brothers and sisters who are open to host a show like this. We are trying to expand and hopefully, inshallah, have more shows than just this on Detroit radio. Because we are here in Detroit and we want to make sure that we are present and we want to make sure that we are heard. Because, like I said, making a difference and promoting a change is not just by voting or by being the leader. No, you can say something. You can talk about it. You can promote it. You could create different ways of letting people know about these situations that we are seeking the change of. I really appreciate you being with us today, whether it's on TikTok. Afghan Queen, thank you very much for support. Everybody else that's on here, thank you very much for joining and supporting. On Facebook, thank you very much for joining and supporting and sharing. On YouTube, thank you very much for joining and sharing. This is our first time on YouTube today, so it's probably unannounced, but we'll be on YouTube as well every time, bi'idhnillah. And 14:40 a.m. if you're driving at 4 o'clock, going home, make sure you tune in to 14:40 a.m. and you may be able to listen to our show, inshallah. It's an honor for us to host you. It's an honor for us to be here. Our show today, like I said, is to bring attention to the problem. If we want to recap, we need to make sure that we look at leadership and make sure that we are fair with choosing the right leaders. We need to make sure that we are able to distinguish between a righteous leader and a non-righteous leader. That way, if we are going to vote, or if we're going to encourage somebody to vote, we know what we're talking about. We know why we're voting, or we know why this person is going to run for office. Are they being influenced by the millions of dollars that's backing him or her? Or are they actually being influenced by the things that they are running for? Justice, the people, community, society, safety, and so on and so forth. I'll leave you by making this supplication. I ask Allah the Most High to allow us all to see the truth and to follow it. I ask Allah the Most High to give us the knowledge that would give us a better life, and to shed knowledge upon us. Allahumma ameen. Thank you for being with us, and you have a great day, and we'll see you Monday. Peace.